Hello there, this is Charis Malloy, and this is the first of my Starseed vlogs that I'm going to do. I've had the idea of starting up vlogs again floating around in my head for a few days now. It kind of keeps occurring to me, and synchronicities will happen that make me think that maybe I should start doing it. But as some of you guys might have happen, I often have the questions then arise that destroy the idea, like, no one's going to want to hear what I have to say, or who do I think I am to tell people what I'm getting? But what I forget when I do that, and what I've been kindly reminded over other synchronicities in the past day or two, is that who am I to say whether or not the message that I'm being told to give out is going to help anyone? And that's the worst type of ego, corrosive logic. Logic's a tool that we need to use, but not the be-all end-all of how we should figure things out. So I've decided to go ahead and start and see what happens, because if I ignore it, I have a theory called the baseball bat theory, which is if you keep getting the nudges and pushes to do something and you don't do it, eventually you'll have to, because instead of a nudge or a push or then a shove, you'll get a baseball bat upside the head. So I'd rather avoid that eventuality and just do the vlogs while I'm getting the nudges and pushes. So here's the first one. I'm going to talk about three things. The first is what's going on. The second is how to do some of the things I've been asked about. And the third are the understandings that I'm getting. They have to do with angels and how they relate to extraterrestrials. Some of them have been explained to me by my contacts, and some of them I've just understood in downloads, which is not essentially that different, but it seems like it when you're getting them. Okay, so first, what's coming up? And I'm very excited because tomorrow is going to be my first public speaking event where I'm talking about my Starseed stuff. I've spoken in front of groups before, but it's always been about health and wellness and psychology. So since coming out of the spiritual alien closet, I was really shocked that I'd have a really negative response and lots of attack and scary things happen. But strangely enough, like it tends to be when you just come out and you say, this is how I am, and this is what I am, and this is who I'm meant to be, as of now at least, the response has been really wonderful and really embracing, and it's great to meet so many similar people who are going through the same things and who are seeing and experiencing the same things. And when you have those moments of, am I really imagining all of this? Is this really true? And then you have someone from across the globe who says, oh yeah, I had that same vision, or yeah, I talked to that same type of energy, or I had a thing happen to me that was just like you. It's neat to know that everything's not all in your head, regardless of the validation you get. It's always nice to get more. Also, one of my barriers, one of the big tests I'm working on this lifetime, is dealing with victimization. Oh, someone did this to me and they were mean, or now I'm wondering about my own self-worth. One of my great tests is to realize that my self-worth doesn't depend on what other people think of me. It is what it is, continually. Before this life, during this life, after this life, it'll always be the same, because we're all divine cosmic beings. And for instance, this week I had someone tell me that I was full of ego and that things were going to come back around and I didn't actually want to help people, and it really got me down for a couple days until I remembered that thinking about all that is still ego. When you are as present as you possibly can be, then everything just kind of works out, and you don't have to worry about whether or not people are going to be mean to you or how people judge you, because when people judge, they're just seeing the limitations that they see in the universe. And yeah, it might reflect things that you're afraid of. I mean, one of my biggest fears is that my ego takes over, but as long as I'm afraid of it and guarding against it, first of all, I'm aware of it, but secondly, when you get around the fear and you realize that there's nothing special about any of us, all of us are just as divine, then it doesn't really bother anymore. So anyway, I will talk first, like I said, about what's happening. So tomorrow is my first event. It's in Pennsylvania, just outside of Lake Harmony. It's going to be the Journey to Enlightenment Festival. I'm really excited to speak there. And then next week I have a book signing at I Said Read Me in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania on Friday, and Saturday there's a New Age and Holistic Expo in Tamaqua. And so that's going to be fun. And then next week my husband and I move down to Sperryville, Virginia, which is like Avatar because it's on the edge of a forest, and I'm really looking forward to living there because the community is not like exactly what we've been looking for. So those are the events. I'll keep you posted on new ones, and I'm going to try to do a weekly vlog. I haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet, and I'm really excited about that. The second thing that I'd like to talk about is what people have asked me about, and it's how to connect with my guides. How do I plug in? How do I begin to lead this life that's assisted? As we are always assisted, whether or not we pay attention is whether or not we feel that assistance. First, it's meditating. There are a bunch of different ways to meditate, and there are a bunch of different types of people and types of brain, types of intellect and consciousness that we experience in the three-dimensional body in this incarnation. So research the types of meditation that work for you. What I tend to do is go and breathe for a little while until my breath gets steady, I'm nice and oxygenated, and then go through my chakras from the top down, balancing all of them, feeling their movement until it's all steady and even, and then I connect with the earth and I connect with the heavens, be it the sun, I would say is the first thing you should try to connect to the top of your energy field with. After you're used to that, the center of the galaxy, and after you're used to that, the center of the universe. That's when things get really cool because the energy is always a little bit different. And then I speak to my guides, and this is a very personal way to do it, but you'll find your own way. You'll get this information here and that information there that'll all kind of evolve within you to make your normal communication pattern. So that's how you do it, but protection is really important. You don't want to just be going around and talking to any non-physical entity because that's dangerous. So the easiest way to start with protection is just to firmly imagine an egg of white light around you. And the thing about non-physical realms is that we are all as divine and as important as any other entity. It doesn't matter whether they're human, whether they're spirit, whether they're extraterrestrial, whether they're elemental or anything else. We're all as powerful as each other. You just have to remember that and stand in it and say, this is my boundary. Nothing that's not of the light can come to me. Nothing can affect me. Nothing can get to me. I know who I am, and I'm powerful, and this is my rule. And so just make sure you're doing that often, and you should be okay, at least to begin with. I mean, if things ever get dicey, which they probably won't, but if they ever do, you'll find what you need once you start looking for more protection. Now, the message that this video is about. Alright, I'm very excited about this because lots of synchronicities have led me to speak about it. I'm going to talk today about the connection between angels and aliens. Are angels aliens? That's the first question. And the answer is, well, they're not from here, are they? They didn't evolve here. They weren't born here. I don't see any walking around currently, although whether or not I feel them around me is a different question, but that's not what this is about. So the answer is yeah, they are, and there are different types, but there are also different types of extraterrestrials, and the two don't have to fight against each other. What happened was that as we as humanity went through the Dark Ages, and not just the Dark Ages, what we call the Dark Ages in our scholastic academic circles, but the Dark Ages of the earth, the dregs of duality, when things were as bad as they could possibly get, which is the point of this whole experiment, because we're doing something really important right now as humans. When we were in that, we called them angels. We called them spirit guides and helpers, and sometimes we even called them gods, but they were never gods. And if you talk to the ones who are of the light, they'll assure you and remind you, no, we were never gods. We're not better than you. We're not more evolved necessarily than you. I mean, it depends on how you define evolution on that one, but that's another story. So, we called them angels and guides and gods because we still held that little bit of connection, and we were always supposed to. They always wanted to help us, and the easiest way to get assistance, even though we couldn't know very much because that was the point of the darkness, of the insanity that gripped humanity for so long and that now we're coming out of, is that we did have to feel that our connection was largely gone. So we had that one little bit of connection left, and they've always been around us wanting to help us. That's why they say we all have lots of guardian angels. They always want to help us and want to assist us, but we have to ask because of free will. And they can't do our work for us, and that's something that I've been told in conversation, is that throughout all those times where people thought we were so disconnected from the divine, if we had known that always around us there are helpers waiting to be asked and waiting to help, then we would have probably asked them to do all of our work for us and not grown, and humanity cannot reach ascension in that way. So they had to be a little bit divided, and that's why we had to believe that. But now the only reason that it's coming out what they actually are, and that it's actually a lot more real and interesting than just some spiritual substance out there that is way far divided. They're friends and they're our brethren. And the reason that it's coming out that they're actually owners of this technology, both technology of the actual physical realm wherever they live, which is in slightly different vibration than us, which is why they're sometimes hard to see, and spiritual technology, which are the things that humans are now remembering, like mind-to-mind communication and the real use of synchronicity in planning and doing, rather than needing to force everything via logic and work. The only reason this is all coming to light now is because now is the time for disclosure. Now humans are ready to progress to what we're going to be, and we always have been progressing, but now we're at a big jump, just as big as it was when humans really became humans from the proto-humans that evolved up. This is just as huge, and it's happening right now, and that's why we're finally being welcomed back and we're being told the secrets. Far ago, well, no, I was told in another conversation that long ago, back when the southern Gaians, and I use the term Gaian rather than Earthling, one day it just occurred to me that that's what we're called. Earth is the unconscious word for Gaia. Gaia is her name, or at least her name in one of our languages that we speak. So saying Earthling, I think, is kind of dead and static and calcified, but when you say Gaian, I feel like that gives more feeling to what we are, and it gives more homage to the wonderful conscious planet that we come from. So anyway, back to the point. When the southern Gaians in the tropical parts of the world talked about doorways and talked about these openings in the rock that other entities, gods, came through, yeah, that happened, and now all of our scholars who study these things are discovering that it was kind of a dimensional thing. It wasn't as holy as they thought, but they didn't understand the technology, so they thought that these people were gods, or these entities. They're not gods. They were never gods. They didn't like being called gods. And even now, the division between alien or extraterrestrial or space brother and angel, them caring about that would be ego. And they've told me this directly. We don't care what you call us. It doesn't really matter. All that logic and labeling, who cares, as long as the love is there and the communication is there. So when they came through and when they communicated with Gaians at that current dark state of our development, they had much better technology, and technology that worked in harmony with the soul and the spirit and the energetic body and emotional body, rather than against it like our current technology does, like how now they're saying that cell phones and computers are harmful and they're hurting us even as they're helping us through the technological advancement and the convenience. Well, the technology that we'll then evolve to, and also that they already have, it's all in harmony, and it uses lots more of actual reality. And so it looked like magic. Now we're evolving technologically so that we can start to understand that no, it's just technology, but it's also spirit infused. So now it'll be a little bit easier for us to see them as who they are and not as gods. They're no better than us. They always assure me they're not better than us. They're not higher than us. We are about to be welcomed as brethren, and they're really excited to sit and talk to us about the knowledge that we have. This whole time they've been helping us as children, and as you all know, if you've ever taken care of a child, even if it wasn't your child, you fall in love with that child. And that's kind of how they feel about us in some ways, that we're the children, but they're very excited that we're now about to grow up, because the only difference between us and them is they're more present, back when we were calling them gods, that is. They're more present, they were healthier on all levels, and they just had more awareness of what was happening. And so when the people that didn't have that saw them, they just saw them as fundamentally different, but they never were. So anyway, are aliens, angels, are they the same thing? The answer is yes. And if you wonder about this, and if you have angels that you talk to, then ask them for their opinion. And if they're telling you that you're lower, then they might not be completely of the light. So be careful, because the ones that are completely of the light want us to grow up and be grown-up children of God. Because what is a child of God when they grow up? You know the answer to that. Anyway, that's what I have for today, and hopefully I'll have more for you soon. I'm feeling that things are coming more quickly and more intensely than I can write them in the next book that I'm working on. So I'm going to keep doing this and tell you what I get, and hopefully those of you who see it are going to kind of resonate, and maybe more synchronicities will happen as a result. So have a wonderful day, go in peace, and I'll see you soon.